Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Namaskar. We will now be starting with our next lecture on Salesforce management, and the topic which shall be discussing will be recruitment. This is lecture 23, which is the third lecture in the fifth module of our course on sales and distribution management. Now, what are the different themes or the different concepts that we will be talking of? We will be studying the meaning and purpose of recruitment, the recruitment program and policy, Salesforce recruitment process, organizing for recruitment, factors affecting the recruitment process, sources of recruitment, the constraints and challenges in generating a pool of recruits, and the guidelines for designing an effective recruitment process. So, these are the different sub-concepts or the sub-themes which we shall be discussing in this particular topic called Salesforce recruitment. We will start with the meaning and purpose, and then we will move on to how we should be creating an effective Salesforce recruitment process. So, let us first talk a little bit about recruitment. Now, after a job analysis is done, the next task in Salesforce management pertains to hiring the right kind and the right number of people to fill up the sales jobs. So, this hiring here combines both the recruitment and selection. Now, what is recruitment? Recruitment is the process of attracting prospective employees and encouraging them to apply for jobs in an organization. Now, hiring as a process caters to both existing and anticipated job openings. Existing job openings happen when people resign and leave or they superannuate, and anticipated job openings happen when it is known that certain people in a particular level are going to be promoted, and because they would be promoted, a vacancy for their position would automatically be created. So, as a process, hiring caters to both existing and anticipated job openings. Anticipated job openings also happen when companies expand and they want to go in for growth, or they acquire smaller companies or smaller firms and they need more manpower. So, in those cases, when it is a planned affair, it becomes more of a anticipated. The basics of the process of recruitment lies in job analysis and the two outcomes, which is job description and job specification. We have spoken about job description and job specification in the previous lecture. Now, when we talk of recruitment, is actually a process of creating a large pool of applicants for specific job positions. Once this large pool has been created, we start with the selection process, which is selecting the best out of those applicants who had applied for a particular position. So, while recruitment is a process of generation, selection is a process of elimination, and the process of recruitment starts when applications are invited and it ends with the submission of the applications as per the last date. So, recruitment is basically trying to create a large pool of applicants, encouraging people to apply for positions in the organization, and it is a process which will start when applications are invited. It ends with the last date of applications or with the deadline, and what is the ultimate outcome of this is a large pool of recruits, and from which the right kind of person is selected or the best person is selected. So, the selection takes place after recruitment is done or after the applications have been generated, and that is why we say that while recruitment is a process of generation of applications, selection is the process of elimination of candidates who are not as good as others, and it is actually the selection of the best candidate. So, selection is a process of elimination of undesirable applicants or unworthy applicants. It is a selection or it is selecting the best possible person or the best person for a particular position. So, while recruitment is a process of generation, selection is a process of elimination. Now, in case of sales function, recruitment involves attracting appropriate people to apply for sales job or for a sales position in the organization. It is a positive process that aims at generating a large pool of applicants from where to choose from. Now, such applicants will be those who will meet the criteria as laid down in the sales job specification. The sales job specification clearly lays down the knowledge, the skills, the abilities, the qualities, the physical attributes which are essential for a job to be performed satisfactorily. And so, once the applications are generated, or once suitable applicants have once applicants have applied for a particular position, the selection takes selection process comes into being, and so we say that while recruitment is a process of generation, selection is a process of elimination. So, recruitment is a positive process that aims at generating a large pool of applicants from where to choose from. Such applicants are those who will meet the criteria as laid down in the sales job specification. Now, the process begins when applications are invited and it ends with the deadline or the last date of receipt of applications, and a well formulated recruitment process should ensure that prospective employees are provided with information about the company, about the job opening, about the role, responsibility that the position entails, the skills and qualifications required for the job holder, and also it is very important that you have a well formulated recruitment process, so that a pool of candidates is generated quickly and with cost effectiveness. So, it is essential that companies formulate a recruitment process very well, and they clearly define what the job is about, what the skills are required, and this information must reach the applicants so that a pool is generated quickly and with cost effectiveness. Now, what is the purpose of recruitment? Specifically, it is one, to determine the present and future sales manpower requirements, both in terms of quantity and quality, and that is where manpower planning and job analysis comes into picture. Also, the second purpose is to generate a pool of qualified candidates at a minimum cost, thereby increasing the success rate of the selection process. Success rate of a selection process would be possible only if the right kind of people have applied for position, and the right kind of person is one who would be able to perform the job role perfectly because of the kind of knowledge, skills and abilities that he possesses. Another purpose of recruitment here is to explain to the prospective sales employee the nature of the job, the skills and qualifications required, so that there is a person job fit, and the person who is selected for the job does not leave the organization because of a mismatch between him and the job requirement, or his skills and abilities and knowledge levels and the job requirement. So, one, to determine present and future sales manpower requirements, two, to generate a pool of qualified candidates at a minimum cost, and three, to explain to the prospective candidates the nature of the job, the skills and qualifications required, so that people who apply are very well aware of the fact that their knowledge, skills, abilities are something which would match with the requirements of the job, and if it is done, then it is a best fit, is a good fit, and chances of the employee leaving the organization reduce. Otherwise, if people are not informed about the kind of role and responsibility and the skills and abilities required, in those cases anybody and everybody would apply, the success rate of the selection process would get diluted, and the person who is selected may sooner or later leave the organization because he or she may feel that he or she is not a good fit for the job. So, recruitment is very critical for maintaining an efficient and effective sales force in the organization, and a good recruitment strategy would help an organization select the right kind of person and the right number of person at the right time. It would also help them train the right number and kind of people for the organization. So, recruitment will ensure that the right kind of people apply, and so that the right kind of persons can be ultimately selected. A good recruitment strategy would also help avoid expenses of selecting and training ineffective resources, because once care is taken to specify clearly the requirements as well as the knowledge, skills and abilities, it is only people who have those skills and abilities who will apply. And when the screening of applications is done, people who do not possess these knowledge, skills and abilities would be eliminated. So, recruitment also helps ensure that the right kind of people are applying. Such people are those who would not only be good for the organization, but they would also stay with the organization. Also, the kind of training and development expenses to be incurred on them would reduce if they possess the right kind of knowledge, skills and abilities. So, recruitment also helps avoid expenses of selecting and training ineffective resources. A recruitment exercise would also prepare a database that could play a key role in meeting manpower requirements in case of emergency and need. Now, not all applicants who apply are actually qualify to be taken forward in the selection process, and even those who qualify in the first few stages of the selection process may not finally get selected. So, those who actually qualify to be selected remain in the database, their names are always there, and in case the company falls short of manpower, it can always resort to its the pool of applicants, pool of qualified applicants, and who due to some reason or the other could not get selected because either they did not perform well in the written test or in the interview or in the aptitude test, or they failed in the reference test, or there was some shortfall or some shortcoming because of which they did not get selected, but yet they were satisfactory or good or average. So, these people are somebody who can be considered, although they could not make to the final round and could not finally be selected, yet they are those who have the potential or could be considered in case of a shortage of supply. So, a recruitment exercise can also help prepare a database that could play a very key role in meeting manpower needs in times of emergency, when suddenly the company falls short or is there is a shortfall or falls short of supply of falls short of salesperson in the organization. Now, companies must actually have a recruitment program and a recruitment policy, and this will be something which will be very useful to guide, to act as a guide to the recruitment process. So, companies must have a recruitment program and a policy which will guide them in the process, and an effective sales recruitment policy must have certain features. One, it should be based on the organization's objectives. What are the objectives? Is it growth? Is it expansion? Is it just bare survival, sustenance? It should also take into account the resource constraints of the organization in terms of time, money. It should specify the preferred source of recruitment and the criteria for selection. Now, shortly we shall be discussing the sources of recruitment, and which could either be internal to the company or external, and it's very important that the recruitment policy specified what the preferred source is. Now, the source of recruitment must be evaluated from time to time to ensure that if a particular source can still be a preferred source. So, because as circumstances change, as times change, the particular source may prove to be not very fruitful in getting in obtaining the right kind of person. So, and another source may be more useful or may have over a period of time become more fruitful. So, the source of recruitment must be evaluated time to time to see if they can still be regarded as preferred. Also, it should ensure that it is in congruence with the organization's general HR policies or personal policies, so that there is not much of a difference between the kind of rules, regulations, policies, procedures which are meant for the marketing team and the sales team vis-a-vis the others in the company, because if there is a big difference or if there is a big gap, then it could lead to feelings of antagonism between employees in the organization. So it's very important that the recruitment policy is something which is in congruence with the organization's general personnel policies. We have discussed that there would be some changes with respect to performance appraisals and compensation and reward systems for the salespeople, but above that it's very important that for most policies or most HR policies are similar for employees across the organization, irrespective of whether they are in the sales function or they are in other functions. Also, a recruitment policy must be flexible to change, keeping in mind environmental influences, keeping in mind the industry scenario with its the shortfall or some excess of manpower, or the kind of manpower, or is it with respect to other the competition in the environment, or with socio-economic, political, legal considerations, changes, etc. So, this is something which the recruitment program and policy must be flexible to change, and it should ensure long-term employment for the employees, both in terms of career development and job security. So, it's very essential that companies have a recruitment policy, and it should be something which is very effective, so that the interests of the company and the employees can be taken into account. So, the benefits of a recruitment program and policy is that it would help attract the right kind and the right number of people at the right time. It will also clarify the recruitment objectives as well as the methods and procedures to be followed during recruitment, and would ensure that if there is the hiring of sales force in the organization can be effective. Now, let us discuss the sales force recruitment process. Now, the process for sales force recruitment is an elaborate one and involves: 1. Identifying the right number of people required by a company and with what skills and qualifications. Now, again, manpower planning would help determine the number of people at what level, when, so manpower planning will be able to give us information into the number of people required at different levels, at different periods of time, and again, job analysis through the two outcomes of job description and job specification will also tell us the right kind of people to be required for the kind of job where there is a vacancy or a job opening. So, both manpower planning and job analysis together will help assess present and future requirements. They will also help reduce the probability of attrition, because in case this is not done, people may join but sooner or later leave the organization. The second stage is to decide on the sources from which such a requirement can be met, and this would involve identifying and evaluating the different sources which can either be internal or external, and whether a company opts for an internal source of recruitment or external source of recruitment depends upon several factors like the nature of the product, the budget allocated for recruitment exercise, company policy on promotions from within, source of successful recruits in the past, etc. The third step is to inform the people about the job openings, including the pay and allowances and the location and the duties and responsibilities that the job would entail. And fourth is to induce people to apply for jobs, which in turn would lead to a large pool of applicants from which the best selections can be made. So, this is the sales force recruitment process, where we first start with identifying the right number of people required by the company and with what skills and qualifications. 2. Deciding on the sources from which such job requirements would be met. 3. Inform the people about the job openings, the nature and role, the responsibilities, the pay and allowances and the location. And 4th, induce people to apply for jobs in the organization, which would help create a large pool of applicants from which selections can be made. Okay. The next thing that is important is organizing for recruitment. Now, organizations for recruitment in companies varies with respect to the company's size, the departmental structure and the top management. Large companies are in a position to have a separate division for recruitment and selection, but in small companies this job is assigned to sales managers, The process again could be centralized or decentralized. Centralized generally happens where top management would like to get involved in the process. Decentralization is adopted in cases where the exercise can be conducted in the branch or in the zones, and whether the process would be centralized or decentralized would again depend upon policies formulated by the top management. Generally speaking, the HR department handles certain aspects of recruitment and the preliminary screening of applications, and then the marketing and sales department handles further screening if required and makes the hiring decisions. What are the factors which would affect the recruitment process? Now again, there could be factors internal to the company which would affect the process, like for example the company's size and expansion plans, the company's HR policies with respect to promotions from within, compensation policies, etc., as well as the finances and budgetary allocation for the recruitment exercise. There could also be external factors which would affect the recruitment process, and these would be the industry scenario, unemployment or the supply and demand of qualified manpower, also the company reputation and image in the industry, the demand for skill set in the industry. External factors would also involve or also include macro environmental factors like socio-cultural, political, legal and economic factors, all of which would have a bearing on the recruitment process. Now let us come to the sources of recruitment. Now source of recruitment could be both internal and external. Internal source of recruitment are when people within a company are encouraged to apply for job openings in the company, and external sources are when the company goes in a big way and invites applications from outside to apply for the various job openings in the organization. Now let us discuss the internal and external sources in greater length, and also then elaborate on the advantages and disadvantages of the two sources. With respect to internal sources, as I said, this pertains to people who are already employed in the organization. So in case there is an opening or a vacancy, employees in the organizations may be promoted, demoted or transferred, or they may be even encouraged to apply for these positions. Now in some cases, promotion from within does not happen until and unless the person applies afresh for that position. In other ways, what I am trying to say is that while in some organization it is promotion is something which is automatic after a person has attained some years of service, or he has contributed significantly to the organization. So in other words, either on the basis of seniority or on the basis of merit, in some cases this does not happen. In order to be considered for a sales job position, the person may be asked to apply afresh. So he makes and he applies for a particular job opening, and in case there is a vacancy, and he is considered as a candidate afresh. Of course, his seniority in the organization, his experience in the organization is taken forward and is counted. So internal sources is that it includes people who are already employed in the organization, and in case of a job opening, they are promoted, they may be demoted, or transferred. Now, when does demotion happen? Well, if a person is not doing well, and the company wants to take some disciplinary action against him, he or she may be demoted to a position lower than where he actually is, because the position lower is something which is vacant, or there is a job opening at a lower position. Lateral movements are also encouraged, where a person from one division or one department is transferred to another. In our case, it may so happen that a person from a department is shifted and moved to transferred to the sales job or to the sales function. So this will be an internal source of recruitment. Again, I repeat, while in some cases this may be automatic as either because of seniority or because of merit, in some cases people may be asked to apply afresh, and they may apply for these positions and compete amongst themselves for the job opening. The second sources of recruitment are external sources, which include people employed in other organizations, other companies. The sources here include employees working in other companies, unsolicited applications, job sites and internet, consultants, students from colleges, and those responding to advertisements, etc. Now, entry level jobs are generally filled by external sources of recruitment, and these are resorted to when a company does not have people with skills and abilities required for a particular job, and they want to have people with newer ideas, fresher ideas, and so they would go in for external sources of recruitment. So, let us talk a little bit more on the internal sources. Internal sources would include company salespersons, company executives, internal transfers, and past applicants. The first is company sales personnel. Now, friends, relatives and acquaintances of a company's sales personnel apply for sales jobs. Recommendations made by the company sales people already working in the organization can serve as an important source for these people, and reference check can be done. However, it is very important that these reference check for such people should be checked for reliability. The second source is company executives. Recommendations made by executives of the company which are at higher positions can also serve as an important source of recruitment, and this again falls under internal sources of recruitment. The third is internal transfers. Now, existing employees of the company may be considered, and as I just said, in case of promotions, demotions, or in case of transfers, we see that they could act as important sources of recruitment. Now, internal transfers may be lateral and upward moves. Lateral is when they move from one department to another at the same level or at different levels, and upward is when they are promoted from a particular position to another position. Now, people working in other departments or people at other administrative positions may be transferred, but because selling requires different skills, a formal aptitude test must be conducted, and training needs must be determined, and then training must be organized. Internal transfers can also be upward, as I said, or they could be lateral. Upward is then when to fill a particular position of a sales branch manager, a capable sales executive is promoted, and lateral is when he is moved from one department to the other. Past applicants, the pool of applicants which was prepared in the past can also serve as an important source. As I said a little while ago, not all qualified candidates do actually reach to the final stage of selection and can actually be made, can actually be given offers. There are a lot of candidates who cannot reach the last stages of selection, although they are good and can be considered later. So, the pool of applicants which was prepared in the past recruitment drive can also be considered for screening out applications for various sales job positions in the organization. So, this again acts as a source of as an internal source of recruitment. Now, coming to the advantages and disadvantages. Advantages of internal sources are that it is less costly in terms of time and money to conduct the exercise when the sources of recruitment are internal. Familiarity of the HR department and the marketing and sales department with the candidate, and that of the candidate with the company is always helpful. Company policies on recruiting from within via promotions and transfers also enhance people's motivation and job satisfaction. They boost their morale, and it can lead to organizational commitment on their part, and companies can also benefit from their past efforts that have made with respect to recruitment, selection and training of these people. However, the disadvantages of internal source of recruitment are that there is no infusion of fresh blood, and there is dearth of creativity and innovative ideas. People may also compete with each other for the same job, and this could lead to an unhealthy climate in the organization. Also, jobs at managerial levels or sales managerial levels may require specialized training and experience, which can only be acquired over longer periods of time and in diverse job positions, which may again be lacking in the current employees of the organization. So, these are the disadvantages of the internal source of recruitment. Now, coming to external source of recruitment, These are unsolicited applications, advertisements, job sites and internet, consultants, customers, competitors, campus placements and job fairs. So, we first come with unsolicited applications. Unsolicited walk-ins as well as write-ins or online applications received by the company in the past can be used as source of recruitment. Such people may be given some kind of a preference because they have already shown their interest in the company. Another source of recruitment is advertisements. Advertisements in leading newspapers, magazines, journals, radio and television can be used by companies to attract applicants. Blind ad may be used where the company does not want to reveal its identity. So, it would use an address or it would use a post box number in this case. Job sites and internet are again sources of from where a company can look for recruits. Consultants. Now, placement consultants can be contacted and asked to provide a pool of applicants. This is like outsourcing the recruitment job to a company which is specialized in the process or specialized in the task of recruitment. Your customers can also be vital sources of recruitment, of finding recruits. Customers might recommend employees working in their company who have reached the maximum potential in their jobs and are looking for further options. Competitors. Now, employees working in both competitor and non-competitor companies can also be contacted. Most of the time, the best performers of competitors are stimulated to join at higher salaries, better perks and higher positions. So, we refer to this as poaching. Campus placement is again a very important source. A team from companies can visit the educational institutes and interact with the students of professional courses like MBA and stimulate them to apply for jobs in the company. And of course, job fairs again prove to be a very important source of recruits. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages of external source of recruitment? External source of recruitment means fresh infusion of blood, creativity and ideas and new people with knowledge, skills and abilities. So, the scope for power and politics can be reduced in the organization. Unhealthy environment would not get created because people would not compete with each other. Of course, the disadvantages are that it is costly in terms of time and money. It also affects current people's motivation and morale because they feel that they have no scope for career advancement, and there are also chances of a false positive error, that is the right candidate being rejected, and a negative error, which is the wrong applicant being selected. Now, regarding the choice whether you should use an internal or external source of recruitment, the company should analyze the sources that it has used in the past. This would give them an idea about the number of applications received and the ratio of success or failure as regards the final selection. The internal and external sources should be analyzed both in terms of quantity and quality of applications received, and this would ensure that effective sources of recruitment are targeted. Now, there are certain constraints and challenges in generating a pool of recruit. In reality, it is always difficult to find the right candidate or the suitable candidate to apply for jobs. Why could this be? One, the organization image or reputation is not too great, so it fails to attract applicants. Two, the nature of the job is something which is unattractive or maybe boring or too stressful, or the compensation that is being provided is something which is not very lucrative, or the working environment is not very good. So this is again a reason why companies may find it difficult to generate a pool of applicants. Also, the HR policies of the organization in terms of performance appraisals or placement, mobility, compensation packages, etc., may not be very attractive. So, the failure to generate a pool of applicants can be detrimental. It would delay the selection process. It may lower down the selection standards and the rigor that must go in the selection process, and the company may have to settle down for candidates who are not very good. This will also result in higher costs on training, mentoring and overall supervision of the newly hired people. So, then we come to how do you create or design an effective recruitment process. The first is that you create a very favorable image and good reputation of your company. This will help attract applicants. Second, formulate a clear and precise recruitment policy, whether a particular position must be filled by internal sources or external sources. engage in manpower planning to determine the right number and the right kind of people required to fill the position at the right time, and formulate a budget for the recruitment process. Now, to ensure effectiveness, one should start the recruitment process only after important tasks like job analysis and manpower planning have been performed. Also, if you know, to be cost effective, it can be a company should go in for simultaneously recruiting multiple job of openings. So, they must also recruit simultaneously for multiple job openings. Now, this brings us to an end of this lecture. So, these are the references, and we conclude with the third lecture on the fifth module of the course. We shall be taking this forward with a discussion on selection in the next lecture. I hope you have found this fruitful. Thank you.